Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, welcome once again to our Energies and Opportunities of 2024 broadcast for the month of September. And of course, we're starting out here August 24th, Saturday, and we'll take you a little bit through the last part of the month and then into the month of September, which should be a very exciting month with two upcoming eclipses.
Very interesting time coming up.
Yeah. So most of you know us, but for those of you who may be new to our community, first of all, we want to offer you a warm welcome. I'm Carol Eastwood.
And I'm Chetan Parkin.
And we are Evolutionary Human Design. So our work with human design has been, well, I've been working with it for 25 years, and has it been more than 30 years?
It has, yes. Still
Showing
going
how old we
strong.
are, right?
And still finding new things all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do really see ourselves having so much experience with it as experts in the human design space. But essentially, we named our company, we renamed it Evolutionary Human Design, because we realized that specifically the work that we're really meant to do and that we do really well is supporting our clients and students to evolve their consciousness, to raise their awareness. And what we realized is that in doing that, all of the activations in our human design function at a higher frequency. So that's what we're here to remind you of, and also to take you through the energies of this coming time. So first of all, a bit of evolutionary human design news, and this is really a reminder that we're going to be live with High Desert Human Design being produced in Santa Fe in September. And we'll be speaking. Chetan will be giving a 80-minute talk. I'll be giving a 50-minute talk on aligning coaching with our design. And Chetan, you'll be talking about the future of human design, where it came from and where you see it going.
Yes, exactly. And how useful is it?
Yeah. And then we'll have and I think it's a 50-minute Q&A session. We're just open Q&A. And then, drum roll, Chetan will be producing his day-long karma clearing event on Monday, September 23rd. And we invite you all to take a look at it. You've probably seen the emails about it. Just click on one of them so you can see the actual page that tells you all about it. And it's highly affordable. So come join us. This remarkable location. Santa Fe is an amazing place if you haven't been. And we'll have a life-changing event. If you'd like to take a look at it, you can go to our website, evolutionaryhumandesign.com, evolutionaryhumandesign.com /high-desert-human-design. Or you can just go to the homepage, and at the top tab next to the homepage, just click on live events and you'll see us there.
So just a word or two about this karma clearing event. It's the first time I've done it in America. And it is, having worked with human design for 30 years, I've watched people go through all kinds of transformations. There's nothing quite like this thing of clearing the way forward, clearing the way behind us, all the things that we've attempted in previous lifetimes and have not completed, clearing that, and then looking at see what we set out to clear in this lifetime, and to be absolutely able to step into our own life, into our own design, regardless of whatever else is happening in the world around us.
Which is a lot right now.
a lot of crazy stuff going on. So
like never before, we need this.
Exactly. So I was guided to do this work, and to me, in these 30 years of human design, this is the most transformational part of human design I've come across. The changes that take place are enormous.
And as long as we're on the news blast, just for those of you who are interested in, and we have many of you who've been inquiring about us, we produce an advanced human design relationship training. We do that in person. It will be live in somewhere in the San Diego area. We've still defined our location, next February. So stay tuned. You'll be getting some information about that, I think, coming up here the end of the month and into September, just to let you know, so you can take an advance look to see if you'd like to book your tickets early and come join us live for actually a couple of really stellar trainings that we'll be doing in person in San Diego in February. So for those of you who live in
Frozen North and
Yes.
other places.
San Diego in February can be around 70,
Yeah,
72
very pleasant.
degrees Fahrenheit, which is nice and warm. So, okay, anyway, come join us. We'd love to meet you in person. All right, let's take a look at the energies for the remainder of August, and then we'll go ahead into the month of September. So just a couple days from now, on August 26th, we have a third quarter moon in Gemini. And essentially, this is transpiring while the sun has completed its travel through the sign of Leo, the sign of self-expression and high creativity, and hopefully some adventure. But as we get into later August and then into the month of September, the sun will go into the sign of Virgo. That actually just happened on the 22nd. So we're in Virgo now. Still feels like Leo to me, but I suppose that'll change in a few days. But here at this third quarter moon, we begin to see some of the energies that are going to be playing out for the entire coming season. So the season's starting on the equinox, which we'll be talking about later in September, and going all the way through the winter solstice, December 21st, 22nd. So it's a powerful look at, what are the main key energies that are going to be at play during this time. And one of the things that we see in this chart is not only do we have the aspects that we've mentioned before that have been active, but they're really tight right now, with planet Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, retrograding back in Aquarius. So just a little background. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. It dipped into Aquarius last year, and it's dipped back into Aquarius this year, 2024. But it'll have one more period dipping back into Capricorn before we're fully, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So at this third quarter moon, we still have Pluto 0 degrees and 7 minutes of Aquarius retrograding in a beautiful grand trine with Uranus in Taurus and Venus in Virgo. And of course, the moon joins that at the third quarter moon. So we've got some pretty exciting times, I think, coming up in terms of open possibilities, a lot of high creativity, a lot of great new energy for innovation, for brand new vision. And essentially, with Neptune involved in this, trifecta of amazing planetary aspects, if we look at it from the evolutionary standpoint, what does Neptune give us? It gives us an opportunity to move out of illusion. Some say that the whole third dimensional plane is all illusion, but to move from illusion or whatever illusions we have about ourselves, about life, about what's possible here, and move into very high inspiration and clear inner truth. So we're receiving, accepting guidance from our higher self or from spirit, the essence of spirit, if you will. So very, very exciting time. The sun, as it moves into early Virgo now, in a kind of rare aspect with both Pluto and Neptune, saying, if like no other time, we are being invited to really tune in, to do our meditation, to do our inner seeking and to follow our higher guidance. That is really the only path open to us now that's going to result in any kind of fulfillment on planet Earth as we go through major humanitarian changes. So we did talk about this time last month when we did our broadcast last month. And so I'm not going to belabor it, but I want to say, just wrap up with the fact that Mercury which is a retrograde now, it has been retrograde since I think it was August 4th, is about to do a turn, so it will turn stationary direct on August 28th. I imagine by now, pretty much everybody's familiar with the Mercury retrograde. Essentially, it's a time of going back over and completing and wrapping up projects or things that would have to do with your way of involving yourself in the world. So anything to do with communications, your phones, your computers, anything to do with transportation and getting around in the world, and certainly anything to do with communication. So if you've got communication that's hanging out there and hasn't been completed with somebody, get that all done here in the next few days, because Mercury, once it goes direct, starts picking up speed in early September. That ship will have sailed.
That possibility.
Yes. So over to you, Shatin.
So I'm going to step back just a few days to the full moon that we just had on the 19th. And it happened in gateway number 30, and 30 is the gateway of desires. Now, just looking at this, it kind of prompts me to ask all of us, what are we doing here? Why are we having this lifetime? Why are we having this experience? And on some level, there must be a desire of sorts to be here to have this experience. And so we commit to it, we jump into it, we come here and have it, and we're in the middle of it. And then comes the question, am I actually fulfilling it? Am I coming here to complete whatever it is that was part of the agreement? And so this full moon on the 19th really highlighted this aspect of our lives and just asked us, are we here fulfilling our requests or our desires in this 3D Earth experience? So I'm looking at the third line here, and the third line is called keeping your cool. Right? Very handy to know this, in the middle of all kinds of crazy things going on. And with desires, there's always this question of should I, shouldn't I? Is this a good idea? What's everyone going to say? Tiptoeing backwards and forwards into having or fulfilling a desire. And until we actually jump through the desire, and complete it, it's just going to be hanging out there. And so for all of us, a great time to remind ourselves, what am I doing here? If I can go looking for a purpose behind it all, what is it? And the ultimate purpose of being here is to be fulfilled. So this third line, keeping your cool, going beyond desires by going through them. Right? Without any question, any hesitation, look, I'm committed to this thing, I'm going to go through it, I'm going to have it. Rain or shine, high, low, whatever, however it comes about. So that is the energy that's kind of pursuing us towards the end of the month here. Mercury does its turn on the 28th. I believe that's the day it does it.
That's right, yeah.
And so at that time, it's making a connection with Saturn. Saturn is retrograded back into the 63, the gateway of doubts. And so this channel of doubts and solutions, the 63-4, is in play while Mercury does this turn and goes back again, forward again. So as Carola just said, great time to wrap up things unsaid and just, make sure, don't doubt yourself, just see it, that something really needs to be said, say it. If it doesn't need to be said, leave it alone, right? But just to be really, really clear about that. I think Pluto does its turn on the 31st, right at the end of the month, and goes back into Capricorn then, stays there until November the 19th. And this is its last, I get the feeling there's a little bit of a sting in the tail here with Capricorn. Because Capricorn's taken to pieces all kinds of things and suppositions and health ideas and financial ideas and political ideas. It's kind of collapsed all kinds of different things around us. With the concept, out of the old, something new, out of the chaos, something new will be born, new stars will come. So this is kind of its last little runaround for the next 250 years.
Around approximately 243, I think.
And just a reminder for the United States of America, the last time Capricorn or Pluto was in this little juncture in time, we were making tea in the Boston Harbor. And the follow on with getting fed up with the British and no representation, therefore get lost. So, the formation of America.
Otherwise known as the American Revolution.
There we are. And so, just to say, there's another revolution taking place. You might have noticed. And this
it's
time,
a worldwide revolution.
well, yeah, you know, because America has this huge effect apart from anything else. But yes, everybody's going through this revolution. And our greatest hope and expectation. Hope is a kind of, you know, a word I dangle out there sometimes, you know, let's look on the bright side of things. And just, you know, can we see it's a consciousness revolution this time as we go out of the end of August and into the month of September? And at this particular moment in time, the sun is in gateway number 40, which is the gateway of independence, ultimately. You know, I'll fulfill my part of the deal if everybody else supports me to fulfill by fulfilling theirs. And when we get to the end of the month, we come into this life thing that we call migration. And migration is this thing of looking around and seeing the community or the situation in which you find yourself and just seeing, am I supported here? Do I feel empowered to give support back to this part of my world? And just to see, there's going to be a lot of, what can I say, upping anchor at this particular time, changing in company, changing in places where we are, changing in the work that we do, changing in our attitudes to all kinds of things. And there's that key word, attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's our attitude when everything starts to change? And we actually find ourselves compelled to move on into a whole different realization of our life. So back to you.
Okay, very good. Well, yes, I think it bears repeating a little bit. So on September 1st, Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn for the last time. And as you said, Shaitan, it's going to stay there until November 19th, 20th, before it then goes into Aquarius. And I want to talk about what the shift means, but just to get a bit of perspective, Pluto's a very slow-moving planet. So when it is finally stays in the sign of Aquarius, starting the latter part of November, it will be there for 19 to 20 years. So it's not really complete with its transit of Aquarius until, let's see, 2043, 2044, if you can imagine. So we have now about 2 decades in which humanity has the opportunity to remake our world, to transform how we live, how we relate, how we share and exchange value, how we take care of ourselves and each other, to transform our environment and all of our systems. And speaking of systems, Pluto, having gone through Capricorn starting in 2008, has been working on demolishing, it's kind of a strong word, but Pluto's sort of like that, demolishing the structures that we've had in place in society that are not going to serve us in the age of Aquarius. They're structures we need to leave behind. As you know, we all have been aware, I think, we see the medical community changing. We're going to have gene editing, going to be able to, I think, during this period of time, discover the root of disease and be able to live disease-free lives. We have AI and all that is going to bring into our world. We've got government systems in flux right now. Don't get me started on the political scene. We've got education system is up. I mean, pretty much all of our systems, including our religious systems, are going through quite a bit of questioning and have been since 2008 when we had the financial crash. So what has this given us? Well, sometimes you've got to take a wrecking ball to things and just let it fall apart so that something new can get born, so that something new has room to take root and to grow. So with this last little time that Pluto's going to dip back into Capricorn, we have an opportunity to have just another look at how can we change the main structures within our society that support all life, so that those structures are really about life, life being fruitful and fulfilling for everyone, not just some of us. So that's the essence of this new 19 to 20 year venture. I'm going to get a little peek at that. What else we need to do to wrap up this cycle so that we can fully step into roll our sleeves up and step into the age of Aquarius and start relating as one humanity.
What a concept.
Yeah. When I was looking at these, we've got a new moon on September 2nd. The new moon is 11 degrees of Virgo. So sun and moon conjunct at 11 Virgo. And, after coming out of Leo with all of its high, adventure and play and creativity and expression, Virgo does sort of it lends a little bit more of a somber note. It brings us down to earth, you could say. It is an earth sign. The new moon in Virgo takes all of those expansive plans that we've been cooking up and exposes them to Saturn. So Saturn, the planet that has to do with structure and time and space and what's actually workable here, karma, is ruled by Saturn. So we need to basically just look at what is the intent that we need to hold and the actions we need to take in order to move the inspiration, the high inspiration, into viability. So we're having a bit of a viability assessment in terms of all of our dreams and visions and our big plans. So what really has the space to grow? The other thing, as I was looking at this aspect, is we've got the three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, in some really phenomenal aspects. And this month, we have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto linked together in such a favorable flowing aspect. It might not seem like it, because when you look at what's playing out on the world stage, or God forbid you Google the news, but you'll hear all the bad news real quick. But essentially, there's a lot of good news going on too. We're just not hearing much of that. There's all kinds of innovation. There's all kinds of awakening going on all over the planet. We've got meditation groups in every country. It's huge, the changes that humanity is going through. So when I was looking at this and I sort of meditating on what's the essence of this aspect linking so favorably, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. And what I wrote down is it's about innovative change and intuitive spirituality, which are the natural outcomes of awakening. In other words, as we awaken to our higher self, to our spirit essence, it's natural that we're going to be in a period of innovative change, because the structures in society and the way that we even think of ourselves or see ourselves or communicate, etc., need to up level to reach that higher vibratory frequency. So if you could say that we're in a little bit of troubled times right now, and there's a lot of challenges everywhere we look, that's true, but times of change are like that, as it was true with the American Revolution, as you pointed out. So this new moon starts us on the path of just looking to see what really is viable, what can we actually put in motion and have work. So we're getting, possibly with Mercury and the planet of communication moves into a right angle with Uranus, which is a touchy aspect. It can cause disputes, but disputes, that come up during this cycle are disputes that are just looking for a solution. And essentially what we come to is getting clarity on aligning our intention with our values. And as we do that, then the stress we feel with this aspect dissipates. The other stressful aspect, the planet Mars, which has to do with our work in the world, is really acting as a catalyst as it forms a right angle, which is a challenging aspect to Neptune. It's a challenging aspect, but a right angle is also an aspect that begets movement, that makes us, get up and go and get things done. So it's a catalyst that basically sheds light on issues about our performance and the effect that having unclear expectations can have on our outcomes. So not just looking at our performance in terms of, the action of it, but what is the motivation behind our performance? So getting clear about that, and that aspect will be strong through the early part of September, especially active on September 4th, when Mars leaves the sign of Gemini and goes into the sign of Cancer. Okay, so
talking
over
about
here.
that whole thing in life about being on track in our life. You know, what are our values? What is it that we really came here and aimed ourselves towards? And this is, in a sense, why I came up with this karma clearing thing. It's like, we've got to know where we came from, what were the holdups in previous times, and what is it that we're really aiming for? What did we agree to aim for in the highest of intents in this lifetime? So, as we get into the merry month of September, and it is going to be a very interesting month because Mercury's just turned direct again. It did that in the fourth gateway, the gateway of solutions. However, that gateway of solutions is also called youthful folly in the Chinese translation, or literal translation. Youthful folly, as though mental solutions are going to endure. They're the ones that are going to fix everything. And so immediately we get this sense of, you know, I've got to go a little deeper than just be thinking about stuff. I've got to really get to the bottom of things and find out what's going on there. What are these values that drive me in life? What are the essential values? And so as we enter into the month of September, as I said, we're in this life thing that we call migration, which really does mean looking around and just seeing, am I being served? Or am I serving? Am I in the right company? Am I in the right job? Am I in the right circumstances? And just see if it's not the case, you know, time to do something different. Now, this new moon takes place during this life theme of migration. The new moon is in the 40th gateway. The gateway, I describe it as a gate of independence. You know, we call it deliverance. You know, let me do my thing and let me be within that. Let me be the strong presence that I have. And the sixth line of the 40th gateway basically says, if my conditions are not being met, if I'm not getting the support in balance with the support I'm giving, I'm out of here. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to play something different in my life. The sixth line is called definitive stance. Freedom is realized through conclusive removal of obstacles. It's very deliberate. I either get the support I need or there's going to be a massive change. And I looked what else was going on at the same time, and Venus and the South Node destiny for humanity are in very close proximity with each other. The South Node destiny for humanity is in the 18th gateway, which is the gateway of cleanup. And it's the gateway of adjustment. It's a gateway of, do we have to keep going along the same old lines forever? And Venus, this very feminine planet, draws to us all kinds of great things in our lives. And it's in the second line. The second line is always a puzzle, you know, because the second line is very natural in its way, but the 18th gateway, the gateway that literally is called work on what has been spoiled, meaning that this area of life has to get cleaned up, right? So we've got all these things going on. We've got Pluto going back into Capricorn, you know, where it's been busting things up, changing things around a little bit. And now we've got this whole arena of Mercury trying to sort things out on a mental level. It's not really that easy. We're in this part of the sky where the sun and moon together in the 40th gateway saying, time to move on from the trident, the things that aren't really suiting us anymore, aren't really working for us anymore. And the 18 in the second line is the line that's called honoring the goddess. Honoring the goddess. Now, this is a pure recognition of the feminine intelligence of this planet. This is a Mother Earth. We could say the Mother Moon is out there reflecting everything back to us. We could say Mother Venus is the next one out from us. And somewhere way off in the distance, somewhere we've got Mr. Mars doing his thing. And, you know, there's a lot of revelation happening about Mars and what its real history was. You know, these stories are coming through now from the little discovery robots that have been sent up there. What is the history of Mars? Was it completely habitable at one stage? And the answer is yes, it was completely habitable. And so here we have Venus with this new moon that's taking place in this 40th gateway of definitive stance in conjunction with the South Node destiny for humanity. And the second line is saying, honoring the goddess, remember the earth, remember the feminine intelligence here. And it says instilled fears involving the power of the feminine. So in a sense, there has to be a big turnaround. There has to be a movement away from pushing outwards all the time. And much more, as Carol is saying, turning the thing around, going much more inwards. What's the essence here of this planet? Are we here to have a life? Are we here to have a full experience? Are we here to be fulfilled? Or are we here to kind of throw ourselves around the place in a state of being lost all the time? What happens right after this new moon in the 40 line 6, the sun goes into gateway number 64, and it opens up the life theme that we call consciousness. Everything, whether you're looking at a rock or a star or a human being or an animal, everything has consciousness. It's just a case of how can it relate to consciousness. We in the physical form have the greatest possible access here to be in this thing, this energy experiment, if we could say it, on planet Earth. So a lot at the turning of the months here, as we go into September, to remind ourselves, take a definitive stance, be true to yourself, and just see many, many things can be revealed. They say out of chaos, stars are born. And we could probably see there's going to be a good helping of chaos as we have these eclipses in this merry month of September. Over to you.
Okay, well, one of the eclipses is actually September 17th, and the next one is October 2nd, but I'm going to take a quick little dip into it just to give you a preview of coming attractions before we meet again to talk about October. So let's look at this first quarter moon. First quarter moon in Sagittarius on September 10th kind of sets the stage for how we're going to take the potential that's birthed at the new moon and bring it into fruition, bring it into expression at the coming a week from September 10th would be September 17th, full moon, which happens to be an eclipse, and then the third quarter moon going on into September. So essentially what the first quarter moon does is kind of line us up and line up the situations and opportunities that we'll need in order to fulfill what's clear for us and true for us to do at this point in time in our life. So we're being called to embody and express our beliefs and incorporate new higher principles for living. I mean, that's the essence of the energy at this time. I think we're seeing it both through human design and through astrology. The first quarter moon is a really powerful catalyst for change, and it's grounded in a vision and a purpose. But it also must include, the benefit of the solutions that we come to being practical solutions, things we can take action on, things that will substantially make a difference, not just in the world of ideas, but actually in the world of form and experience. The first quarter moon in Sagittarius opposing Jupiter in Gemini. This is just, you ever heard the phrase too much of a good thing? That's what this first quarter moon can bring. It's bringing in in the midst of the seriousness of the times and all that we're grappling with and dealing with, which is a lot, it's also bringing in this very playful, fun, and delightful, and a bit of romantic energy, especially as Venus in its home sign of Libra, is moving now, and has been actually, but moving more firmly now into a very favorable aspect, the trine with Jupiter and Gemini. So Venus trining Jupiter is just pure fun. It's a time of social expansion. It's a time for romance to flourish. Enjoy it. We'll have a good full week of that. Coming back to everything that we're looking at in terms of our relationships, our career or our business, the work we do in the world, our money flow, our state of our health and well-being, our sort of status or way of interacting with society, all of that. If you look at life, essentially, if you look at it without purpose, life is meaningless. So we're being asked to get really clear about our purpose, not the purpose that we took on 20 years ago, our purpose now, and get clear about that. The other thing that's happening is the planet Mars, having moved into Cancer, in a nice linking aspect with Mercury and Virgo. And this is going to bring, more tendency to come up with effective solutions to the challenges that we're experiencing today, and innovation that can be taken into action. So that's the overview of that first quarter moon, moving us up to the coming eclipse. Over to you.
Well, I emphasize the word consciousness as we kind of moved further into the month of September. And from the human design perspective, there's no massive holding patterns for us. But just to be in that space of consciousness, I look at all the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and even Chiron are all in retrograde motion at the moment. So there is a kind of buildup of energy for everybody in terms of what is our direction together as a humanity, as a consciousness here on this planet. So we kind of, I won't say we're in a holding pattern of any sort, but I am saying the effect of the new moon, the effect of the Venus station in that new moon placement of taking a definitive stance. I'm going to be true to myself, my life, and to, in such, live true to my values. And so then I'm going to move forward until the middle of the month. And on the 17th, we have this full moon eclipse. I don't know whereabouts in the world it's going to be visible, but energetically, it's going to affect all of us. The sun has gone into gateway number 6, which is the gateway in traditional I Ching. It's called conflict or friction. I prefer to call it conscious resolution, conflict resolution, in terms of, do we have to make a fight out of things? Conflict can be resolved through diplomacy, through discussion, through stepping back from the brink and just seeing, is this really worth the effort? And so the sun is in this, and it's entered into what we call the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden is a fascinating life theme that people who are born into this life theme come in with a very, very high consciousness. And then they arrived around 4 or 5 years old and they realize they're not surrounded by people that are holding the same consciousness. They're not necessarily in a place that's integrous to their consciousness, to their state of being. And so there can be a kind of panic mode. It's like, where is this? I'm out of the garden. I'm out of this place of serenity and high consciousness. And if they can't find it, they start looking in all the wrong places for it. They expect other people to fulfill things for them. Whereas in actual fact, the life theme is all about the consciousness is within. And the effect, what you see in the world around you is just a reflection of what's going on inside you. So people with this high consciousness have to hold that high consciousness and realize it. Now, the significance of this full moon is on the opposite side from the sun, is gateway number 36. And in traditional I Ching, the 36 is called darkening of the light. Right, so here's the image that you immediately get. Darkening of the light is you're entering into a tunnel, and the further you look into that tunnel, the darker and darker and darker it gets. Is there a way out? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Which is a complete mistake. Because in actual fact, the darkening of the light is a lack or a losing of trust in oneself. That's the whole key to this full moon, is remembering that the light is an inside job. And life presents us with things to deal with. And the darkening of the light, okay, it's looking a little gloomy in here, looking a little dark in here. Is there a way out? Of course there's a way out. It's just a case of turning on one's own light and seeing, yeah, the light's inside me. I'm able to find this way through. So it's a very, very powerful full moon and an eclipse at this time, 17th. I'm going to read you the line. It's the 36th, line 4. Fourth lines in any hexagram are all about combining efforts together. And in terms of the darkening of the light, it's basically reminding all of us, it doesn't matter how gloomy things appear to be getting, there's always a way through, that we somehow or other, we have the clues that we need to get through even the most impossible situations. The fourth line is called surveying, accessing your way by following your own light through all situations. I mean, talk about the relevance of human design in this time, of realizing what is our type, what is our authority, how do we make decisions, and it's not on a mental level. The decisions are internal, they're deep within us somehow or other. We know inside ourselves what is needed at a particular time. So just in this thing, where the full moon is in this 36 gateway, the darkening of the light, which I call crisis resolution. It's that whole thing of recognizing the solution is there for all of us, whatever it is that's going on in our world. And just to see, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to play within it? And just to see, there's always a way through. It will resolve. So you're going to talk more about the effect of an eclipse, I think, and just highlight what your perception of this is.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. I mean, an eclipse is just an extra powerful lunation. So a full moon or a new moon is a lunation, and they happen every month. But eclipses only happen twice a year. And they're very powerful new moons and full moons, you could say. So that if it's a new moon eclipse, which this one is not, this is a lunar eclipse, but a new moon eclipse is essentially a change of the essence and inside of ourselves, an inner kind of change. And a lunar eclipse, which is what we have on the 17th, is a change in our outer life, or how we're orchestrating our outer life, or it could be a change in our circumstances, depending on what we're doing with that. This eclipse is not the strongest one this year. The next one coming, October 2nd, is a very powerful, almost total new moon eclipse, solar eclipse. This lunar eclipse it's powerful. It's not quite as total. So we'll see from it that, we, especially those of us who have planets near the points. So near 25 degrees of Virgo, 25 degrees of Pisces, anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees out on either side. And you could also say, those degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius are going to be affected also. So that's a lot of us who, for whom this eclipse really has our name on it. That's us included, actually. So it's a powerful change point, turning point. And this one at a full moon, the lunar eclipse, is saying, what is it that essentially does need to change in our lives now? And the nice thing about this is the moon side of the eclipse in Pisces is conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So we don't just have a full moon, we also have a full Neptune in a sense, which is basically giving us the vision. So if we're paying attention, if we're doing our inner contemplation or meditation, however you see that, walks in the woods in silence, however you get inspired and you let yourself fill with the light that you are, that light field inspiration is what this eclipse can bring us. And when we have that inspiration, we can see our way clearly forward. The Sun in Virgo part of it basically refines and grounds the vision. So we get the vision from the Moon and Neptune part, but it needs to be then grounded, and the Sun in Virgo also can, and Mercury's in Virgo too, make effective plans for action. So we get realizations, but then what action are we going to be taking? So that's the essence of this full moon eclipse as I see it from an astrological standpoint. Jupiter is in Gemini, still in this beautiful triangle with Venus in Libra. So that's just plain old, that aspect's just fun and delight, amidst all this craziness going on in the world. Can we play? Can we celebrate? Can we fall in love? Can we get highly creative and inspired? Can we learn new things? And expand our awareness. That's essentially that aspect. We will see within a week that the situation does change where Venus will go into a challenging aspect, but I'll get to that in a minute. So essentially, as I said, and this is being underlined again at this eclipse, for the changes that we envision to materialize in our lives, we must let go of old values and old ways of doing things. So the old values, the old ways are crumbling. Pluto's back in Capricorn, saying whatever structures you have in place that are no longer filled with life and vitality, let them go and make way for something new. Jupiter in Gemini is going to bring openings for expression and also cultivating shared ideas. We just have to watch out for the tendency to overdo it with Jupiter's big plans. So that's the essence of this full moon eclipse. It's the potential of awakening our spirituality and giving it practical ways of expressing in the world. It's huge.
So right after this full moon, the sun goes into gateway number 46, and there's a change of season here. The 46, I call it the gateway of serendipity, allowing yourself to be in the right place at the right time, or it's just a kind of semblance, wherever you are is where you need to be, but with the right attitude. And the attitude being, I'm here, what's life got for me? And what the 46, the sun in the 46 opens up is the whole healing season. And it goes through all the gateways in the spleen center in human design, one after the other. And the healing that is possible in that time of getting over all our fears and concerns and allowing that healing to take place. So the first thing is, yes, I'm here, serendipity, I'm here, right place, right time. I wouldn't be here otherwise. You know, this is the right place for me to be. And what's life got for me here? And allow life to open up possibilities. It does this through what we call the vessel of love. 46 is one of the 4 gateways in the vessel of love. As I say, the healing season is quite profound. We come to the 24th of the month, and we've gone through, in astrological terms, we've gone through that equinox. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about in your lives, but I know every single time this equinox comes about, it's huge. It changes all kinds of things. For me, I'm doing the first live presentation I've done in years on the 23rd while this equinox is taking place. So it's, you know, it's a point in time where big changes can take place in one's own life. And it's the time when the sun's actually right over the equator for us in terms of its placement. So it's kind of balancing time in a way.
Yeah.
As we enter into Libra, I guess, in Scorpio and onwards.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Sun goes into Libra.
Yeah.
Are you over to me?
I'm over to
okay.
you, yes.
The sun goes into Libra on the 22nd of September. And yeah, what we have at the equinox is we've got equal days and nights in terms of length. So the idea of that balance between night and day, good and bad, light and dark. And essentially, what we have here is this big grand triangle that I've been talking about between Pluto and Uranus, and also bringing Neptune in, is being joined now by the sun in Libra and the moon in Gemini. So we've got the sun and moon now interacting with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Really, you know, huge new creativity can come with this, and big inspiration, bringing our higher consciousness into everything we do. And that's really what's available following the eclipse, following the equinox. The possibilities of significant changes to improve our environment, become more present, sweeping changes from, you know, move from the planning to the implementation stages. And that'll be true from September 22nd until early December. Venus in its home sign of Libra, forming an exact right angle on the 22nd with Pluto. So here we have financial stability and well-being perhaps being threatened unless we get into action with addressing some issues in relationships, some issues in our values, and some issues in a bigger sense in terms of our entire monetary system. So we're seeing big new deal, new rules starting here at the autumn equinox. And then we go to the third quarter moon, and that happens on September 24th. So the third quarter moon helps us to integrate everything we've been learning and all the realizations and all the plans for moving forward, et cetera, and take those steps, those necessary steps, the step-by-step kind of process of putting things into action. So third quarter moon catalyzes our action and aligns our action with our purpose. And the other thing that's active at this time is this dissolving of old beliefs that are no longer relevant. They just don't work in the 21st century. Venus having now moved into the sign of Virgo, bringing transformation of our values and also our beliefs about romantic love. What can romantic love really be for us, and what are its limitations, and what are its gifts? And Mercury going in and joining up this grand triangle that we have, we're going to see a lot of up-leveling, the need to illuminate for ourselves and for others the challenges that we're facing and the way that we're working them through, and the new realizations that come from it, and the new possibilities, the new creativity that comes from it. So very powerful third quarter moon that happens on the 24th of September. Chris will be back with you again on the 28th, Saturday, the 28th of September for our October broadcast. But I did want to do a little preview of coming attractions of this eclipse. Now, do you need a little few minutes first?
I'm just going to say a couple of things as we end up the month of September. We end up with the sun joining the South Node destiny for humanity in the 18th gateway, this whole thing where there's an adjustment, where there's room for improvement, where there's things, possibility of change. Now, I said we entered into September with this whole theme of migration, checking out, am I being supported in my present circumstances? And if not, taking a definitive stance and just say, if my conditions are not being met, then something's going to have to change. And then shifting our attitude into the whole realm of consciousness. What is this whole thing that's going on around me here? The full moon eclipse in the 36 line 4, which was basically reminding us we all have an inner light. And sometimes we need to turn it on. When things are getting a little awkward, turn it on and see what happens, and to find our way through things. As we end up the month, the sun is in gateway number 18, conjoining the South Node destiny for humanity. And it starts out in the life theme that we call service, which is basically the opportunity to give and receive, but to just be available without any expectation of receiving, just to be able to offer what it is that we're easily able to provide in the world. And then at the end of the month, it comes into something quite similar to where we started the month. It comes into the life thing we call upheaval. And upheaval basically says anything that's not nailed to the ground or screwed into the wall or wherever, it's going to get shook up. It's going to get moved around a little bit. And so just, this happens a couple of times a year where there on some level there's a big rearrangement of things. And just to see at this time, we have Sun, Mercury, and South Node together. Mars is in the 39 line 6, which basically means, again, if we're really stuck for finding a way through, Mars will help us find that way through. It'll give us a key to seeing how can we resolve things that are causing us difficulties.
Yeah.
All right.
And I would say, all right, just a peek at this eclipse. So the eclipse happens on October 2nd, as we said, and it's at 10 degrees of Libra. So for those of you with planets at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 degrees of Libra, Aries, Capricorn or Cancer, this particular solar eclipse has your name on it. And essentially what it's doing is helping us to see what we need to do to bring our lives into balance. So as I said, we'll talk about this much more. Think of it in terms of, Mars being a part of this eclipse, because it's in a right angle to the eclipse point. It's bringing, to some degree, we need to go into preservation mode, a bit of consolidation. We can only have so much growth, so much output, so much new things, and then we need to bring it in, consolidate, ground it, see what's useful, and renew our focus to the essential activities that are really the ones that will make the most difference in our life. So we'll see that playing out, as well as the entire theme that I will go into in more detail when we meet again next month, which will be our great, great pleasure always.
I have one more little thing to say. There's a book. Took me 17 years to write it. Carola was very, very patient while this was all happening, so I dedicated the book to her.
Thank you.
And it came about that a revised version, it's the Book of Changes, so it's coming out in a revised version, be available through Amazon very, very soon. So
it's not just magically coming out and revised. You have been working on these revisions.
What to do?
But
the I Ching just goes on forever. Life keeps on changing,
Yeah.
different descriptions, new ways of saying things. In this version, I've included the circuits, all the circuits that really relate to the human condition and to the world around us, and a little bit on the centers as well. So it's a revised edition. There's a few fun things in there, new images and things that'll come out. So it's on Amazon. What to do? It's available through Amazon. And
great.
I love it. I love this book, and it's my great pleasure to be offering a new revised version of it, and I hope you have fun with it.
Yeah, you learn so much, and I love what you've added to the book. I mean, you've just made it, even more
Colorful.
Well, even more colorful for sure. It is beautifully colorful, but also even more value, because not only do we learn about each of the hexagrams and each of the lines in each hexagram, but we also see the background of the circuitry that those are in, etc. And it's going to be, I think, a beneficial upgrade for you, those of you who have the Book of Lines, to get the new version. And if you don't have the Book of Lines, yes, that would be a reasonable thing to get in your exploration of human design. Okay, folks. It's been fun and delightful as always to be with you. We feel you. We see you out there. Shaitan's always on social media, reading your comments, etc. And he always tells me. So just so you know, I'm sort of there as well. And it's delightful to be able to be with you and share what we can see of the changing times, these extraordinary times that we're in.
Magical days.
We'll see you next month.
Bye for now.